Ayodhya Kandam in Srimad Ramayanam features Kaikeyi, the last of the three mothers. We've often been told, or probably when we narrate, even as children, Kaushalya, Kaikeyi, and Sumitra. This is the order. But there are two instances. One, in multiple occasions, Valmiki refers to Sumitra as the Madhyamamba, the middle one. The second is when the payasam was distributed amongst the mothers, Kaushalya received 50%, followed by that was Sumitra, who received 25%, and then came Kaikeyi's turn of receiving 12.5%. So when we deal with Ardhad Ardham in Srimad Ramayanam, Kaikeyi received third in the order. So Kaikeyi, her love for Rama was depicted in the Ayodhya Kandam. When Rama was ordained to leave Ayodhya and go to the forest for 14 years, he was accompanied by Sita. There's, suppose, a beautiful dialogue between the two that happens. There is one adhyaya which is dedicated by Valmiki for it. Finally, Lakshmana says, Sabhratus charanaugadham nipidya raghunandanaha Sitamuvachatishyam raghavam cha mahavratam aham sarvam karishyami jagrataha swapataschate. Whether the both of you are awake or asleep, I shall serve the both of you, says Lakshmana. The trio leave Ayodhya. Agratah prayayau Ramaha Sita madhye sumadhyama prishtatastu dhanushpanihi Lakshmanaha anujagamaha. The three of them leave Ayodhya. Now we enter Aranya Kandam, that stay in the forest. The first 13 years, roughly about 13 years, was very peaceful. So when Sita tries to unstaple some of her cherished memories in the Uttarakandam as focused by Valmiki, and in Uttara Ramachandram as told by Bhavabhuti, she manages to unstaple all her cherished memories of the first 13 years. They managed to receive the hospitality, the Atithi Satkaram of Guha in Shringiberapuram, of Bharadwaja in Prayaga Kshetra, of Atri and Anasuya near Chitrakuta. They went to the ashramam of Sutikshna, Sharabhanga, Agastya and Valmiki. So towards the end of the 12th year, when they are somewhere in the lower part of Madhya Pradesh, is when Rama asks, now I wish to see Agastya. That is when Sutikshna says, go immediately because Agastya is leaving for the south. So they go to Agastya Ashramam after receiving blessings from him and directions from him that they have to construct a Parnashala in a beautiful place called Panchavati, which is by the banks of river Godavari, currently in the state of Maharashtra. They enter and they construct a Parnashala. That is where we have the famed verse in Aranya Kandam, Bhavagnena Kritagnena Dharmagnena cha Lakshmana Tvaya Putrena Dharmatma Nasamritah Pitamama. They construct a Parnashala. And after their stay in Panchavati, during their stay in Panchavati, that is when once after Hemanta Ritu, see, we have the 6 Ritus, Shad Ritus. We have Vasanta, we have then Grishma, then we have Varsha Ritu, then we have Sharad Ritu. Sharad is autumn. Then after autumn comes Hemanta, and then finally comes Shishira. These are the 6 seasons. But we have to note one point. When Rama was stationed in Agastya Ashramam, which is around Nashik Panchavati region, they have already entered the Western Ghats of India. Western Ghats is not deciduous in nature. It is mostly evergreen. So there is no season called as autumn in that period. That is why 4 months is Varsha Ritu. 2 months of autumn becomes 2 months of Varsha Ritu. So 2 plus 2, 4. That is why for 4 months the monkeys did not go in search in Kishkindha Kandam. Now coming back to Aranya Kandam, they were there, and that is when one day, like how I told you roughly about 16 minutes back in Ayodhya Kandam, Aruroha Yadrichaya, I told the meaning of the word Ichha, Ichaya, Yadrichaya, I told you, right? The same word is deployed by Valmiki when Shurpanaka comes. Because Kaikeyi was instrumental in changing one course of the story. Second is Shurpanaka. Shurpanaka was the sister of Ravana. If you know Ravana Parampara, not necessary to know. But we have Ravana Parampara. We have a rishi called Pulastya, who was a Maharshi. Pulastya had a son called Vishravas. Vishravas was married to a Yakshi, and they produced a son called Kubera. Kubera was called Dhanada through his tapasya, and he lost one of his eyes because of Parvati's shapam. So he became Ekapingala. So he had one eye which was yellow. Then he became the one who ruled the Yakshas and started ruling by driving away the Nagas and Rakshasas from the island nation of Lanka, became the Dhanada king. Then when Ravana acquired tapasya and powers. Why? Because this Vishravas had another wife called Kaikashi. She was of the Rakshasa clan. Kaikashi had 3 sons, Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. She also had a daughter called Shurpanakha, but that girl was raised by his aunt called Raka. So all this is there in the Uttarakandam. It also features in the 9th skanda of Bhagavatam, in the 4th amsha of Vishnu Purana. Now, this Shurpanaka had a husband who used to devour human beings. He used to eat human beings. He was like a cannibal. His name was Vidyut Jihwa. Vidyut Jihwa, is it confusing? You have to learn. So, this Vidyut Jihwa was killed by Ravana. So, make this point clear. Ravana made his own sister a widow. So she refused to stay in Lanka and started staying in the province that was the only one left for Rakshasas in some part of Maharashtra called Janasthana, where 3 of her half-brothers called Khara, Dushana and Trishiras were stationed. One day while she was walking by the banks of river Godavari, she saw Rama. This is where Yadrichaya comes. Now, while she was walking, then we know what will happen eventually. But generally, we position Shurpanaka as a lady with a bad character or bad qualities. One of the mystic saints in the Tamil tradition, 1400 years back, called as Alvar, says, Polla Mukkinai Udaya Araki. She is an Araki, a Rakshasi. She is not bad. He says, why do you brand her bad? She is not bad. Polla Mukku, her nose is bad. See, in Tamil, they generally ask, how's your son-in-law? உங்காத்து மாப்பிள்ளை எப்படி இருக்கார்? நல்லவர், வாய் தான் பொல்லாதது அப்படின்றார். Yeah, வாய் எடுத்துட்டா மாப்பிள்ளையை பார்க்க முடியும். So, this Shurpanaka could smell Naramamsam through her nose. So she came running to that place. She saw Rama seated. And Rama's beauty, the way Valmiki describes, why Shurpanaka? Even we will fall in love. He was a complete man, precursor to Raymond's. So, Lavanya Ramara Kannulara Judare Ati Lavanya. Tyagaraja Swami says Ati Lavanya. So generally in English, 5th chapter in Renan Martin is devoted to adding comparative degree and superlative degree. You generally don't superimpose something. You never say more beautifuler. That's wrong. 1 mark question, 0 you'll get. So it's more beautiful. Because it has more than 2 syllables, Ren says you have to use only more. You cannot use ER there. But here he says Lavanya, handsome. Ati Lavanya. This is not something that you have seen in earthly creations. Ati Lavanya Ramara Kannulara Judare. Kannulara Judavare ante Sahityamaina Telugulo. How can you even hold that beautiful picture into your eyes? Likhitakkena mamaisha shilpina madanatura vallavangana vadanamboja divakaro yuva, says Vedanta Deshika. She fell in love, love at first sight. She fell in love, head over heels, keshadi padam. She fell in love. But then she wanted to compare herself because she had put on a lot of weight. Don't look at me. She was not into that cardio and the push-ups and the quinoa and the brown rice and the keto diet, nothing of it. So she was not concerned if it was A1 or A2, grass-fed or what-fed milk. So she just had what she got. And the moment she saw him, she looked into herself, into the waters, the reflection. And there she makes a comparison. Sa Sukeshaha. So she had hair that she hadn't washed for months. And look at his hair. She compares. Suswaram Bhairavasvana. When Rama said, Lakshmana, come here. Paluke Bangaramayana. Kodanda Pani Paluke Bangaramaya నా పలుకే బంగారమయ పిలచిన పలుకవేమి కలలోని నామస్మరణ మరవచ్చకని తండ్రి పలుకే. When he speaks, you can just collect some honey here and there and some gold powder here and there. Suswaram, what a voice he had. Bhairavasvana. Imagine you have repeated attacks of throat infection, streptococci, that attacks, you have no medicine to take, and then you speak Bhairavasvana. Sa Sukeshaha, black, curly, effervescent, radiant hair on one side of his. Tamra Murdhaja, she had not even seen what color her hair had turned into. Vrittamadhyam, he was too slender waisted. If you keep a creeper next to his hip, you can see the creeper but not his hip. It will be as thin as the creeper. Vrittamadhyam Mahodari, bad cholesterol stays here. 10,000 steps doesn't help. Fitbit is a waste. So Bhairavasvana, Vrittamadhyam Mahodari, Virupaksham Pankajalochanaha. On one hand, she couldn't even see her eyes. On the other side, his eyes looked as if the petals of a newly blossomed lotus that receives the rays of the rising sun was taken and then plucked and placed on his face. Such large eyes. Pankajaksha. She lost hope. But then, Kamban, the Tamil poet, says that she wanted to position herself as a very pretty lady, and she went in the disguise of a lady called Kamavalli. Kamavalliyam kanni panji ulir vinji kule sayyava mananga senjanime seeradiyalagi amsoila annamena minnum vanjiyena nanjamena vanjamagal vandal. She went and she said, Rama, I'm in love with you. Rama said, thank you for that, but I'm married. She said, I have no problem. He said, I have a problem. I'm married, and this avatara, it's just restricted to one. So she kept forcing herself. She didn't know. No means no. So then Rama said, see, Akrita Daraha, here is my brother. Do you see him there? Fair and lovely. Yeah. So he's been doing the dishes, and he doesn't have a wife. Rama says that Akrita Daraha, immediately there are a group of people in Tamil Nadu who will pick up some verses. There could be a poet of them. One could be the son of a political person. They will all pick these lines. See, Rama says Akrita Daraha, he has lied. In poetry, it is called Asahakrita Daraha, the one whose wife has not come along. She understood it the right way. Shurpanaka was much better than some of them. So he says, go and propose. You do whatever you want with him. So she goes and she says, all that she has told Rama, she repeats to Lakshmana. Lakshmana says, see, look at my hands. I've just been washing and doing dishes all along. There's no dishwasher here. You marry me, you get your fair share. And she was wondering what could coax the men to play shuttle with both. And then she sees the slender-waisted Sita come. She is about to attack. Then Rama says, Lakshmana, she's attacking your Babhi. Babhi is back in second season Saas Bhi Bahuthi, right? So aa chuki hai, tum raksha karo Babi ji ka. So immediately Lakshmana, who was always there with a weapon, he went and he chopped her nose. Now this becomes a huge topic. It will become a national debate. How could Rama do this? Because in those days, whether the man or the woman, justice was the same. If you say a no is a no and you still insist and force or coax yourself, you will receive your punishment. As simple as that. So her nose is chopped off, her ears, Karanam is chopped off. She goes running to Janasthana, where her half-brothers Karadushan and Trishiras were stationed. They asked, what has happened to my pretty sister? She said, sister, yes, we're pretty. For them, yes. So they said, what has happened to you, Shurpanakha? Batao. That is when Shurpanakha said, I'll tell you who did this to me. She couldn't speak that well. She couldn't get the nasal twang. Her nose is chopped. So she couldn't get the nasal twang. She could have never ever spoken some of the South Indian languages, leave alone Malayalam. So she never had. So her nose was chopped and she had to utter. What did she say? She had to abuse. She had to reprimand Rama and Lakshmana. You know what she says? Tarunau. Those two young men. Rupa Sampannau. Both of them. Extremely, extremely handsome. Tarunau, Rupa Sampannau, Sukumaro, they're not as old as me. Sukumaro, they are very young, both of them. Mahabalau, well, their arms and the six packs. Mahabalau. Pundarika Vishalaksha, wow, their eyes are so captivating. They are like the petals of a newly blossomed lotus. Pundarika Vishalaksha. Chira Krishna Jinambaro, they looked like Kshatriyas to me with their balam, but they also seemed like hermits because they were sporting Valkalam and the antelope skin. They chopped off my nose. Will you ever say this? Somebody has slapped you. Somebody asks you, I see some impressions on your cheek. Who did this to you? Oh, that man on Harley Davidson. Now that the tariffs are out, so that man in Harley Davidson just made way in some of the roads of Bangalore, though it's tough to make way. So they did make way and he slapped me. You see the slap? Will you ever say that? This lady says, that is what makes Ramayana great. Shatroho prakhyata viryasya ranjaniyasya vikramahi. Rama's greatness or significance never lied in his father, wife and devotee appreciating. A lady who has been subjected to this humiliation sings praises of him. Then that is the greatness. Tarunau, Rupa Sampannau, Sukumarau, Mahabalau, Pundarika Vishalakshau, Chira Krishna Jinambarau, says Shurpanaka in her stuti. So we all read Bhishmacharya's Vishnu Sahasranamam, Aditya Hridayam, this and that. We can even read Shurpanaka's stuti. Her shloka, you won't believe. These two verses of Shurpanaka that she ends up praising about Rama's greatness and valor to Karadushana and Trishiras has been commented for 40 pages by a commentator in the 12th century called Periyavachan Pillai. And when we learn Vedanta and our Acharyas, we are asked to learn that. So we learn Shurpanaka's Stotram. So Shurpanaka was that adept. Now, in this segment, we will end up showcasing Shurpanaka, who walks by the banks of river Godavari to Panchavati, falls in love with Rama. Rama rejects, directs her to Lakshmana, then they play shuttle, and finally when she's about to attack Sita, that is when there is a Nasika Bhangam, and then she goes and complains. Instead of complaining, she sees the beauty of Rama and describes the beauty of Rama alongside Lakshmana. You may have a question, why Lakshmana is included? See, in the story she proposed not to one, but to both of them. So it was a very quick proposal with very little interlude between the two. So probably she wanted to enjoy Samskrita Bhasha's Dvivachanam. Samskrita Bhasha has Dvivachanam. It doesn't have one and many. It has one, two and many. So she used that two very liberally. Tarunau, Rupa Sampannau, Sukumarau, Mahabalau, Pundarika, Vishalakshau, Chira Krishna Jinambarau. So she takes a Sanskrit class for us for no fees.
Takkuku, takadhikkuku, takatari takkuku, udikkuku, takatari takatakuku, dikkuku, 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 takannaka, takundari dikkannaka, takundari dikundari jaggannaka, takundari dikundari kukundari, dikundari takundari, dikundari Shurpanaka, takannaka, takundari dikkannaka, takundari dikundari jaggannaka, takundari dikundari kukundari, dikundari takundari, dikundari Shurpanaka. Takita tom nakka nakka dhikita di tom nakka nakka tom kita tom tom nakka nakka nam kita nam nam nakka nakka Shurpanaka. Takita tom nakka nakka dhikita di tom nakka nakka tom kita tom tom nakka nakka nam kita nam nam nakka nakka Shurpanaka. Takanaka dikanaka jaganaka thingina tom tadenginatum 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 Shurpanaka. Takanaka dikanaka jaganaka tadengina धिङ्गिणत्वं तद्धिङ्गिणत्वं तद्धिङ्गिणत्वं शूर्पणखा शूर्पणखा तकनक दिकनक जगनक तद्धिङ्गिणत्वं 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 शूर्पणखा शूर्पणखा शूर्पणखा.
ताम्रमूर्धजा
பல்லவமனுங்க செஞ்செவிய கஞ்சம் நிமிர்
வஞ்சி என நஞ்சுமென வஞ்ச மகள் வந்தாள், வஞ்ச மகள் வந்தாள். தருணூரூப சம்பன்னௌ சகுமாரௌ மகாபலௌ. ராம 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 தான் அஹம் சமதிக்ராந்தா ராமத்வா பூர்வ தர்ஷனாத் சமுபேத அஸ்மி பாவேன भर्तारं पुरुषोत्तमं रामत्वा पूर्वदर्शनात् समुपेत अस्मि भावेन भर्तारं पुरुषोत्तमम्.
பெண்ணே, நீ யார்?
நான் அழகை நகர் காவலன் குபேரனுக்கும் இலங்கை வேந்தன் ராவணனுக்கும் தங்கை. அழகு மிக்கவள் ஆதலின் என்னை காமவல்லி என்று அழைப்பர்.
அரக்கர் குலத்தில் அரம்பை எப்படி?
சேற்றில் முளைத்த செந்தாமரை நான். உன் சம்மதம் வேண்டி உன்னை மணக்க வந்தேன்.
அரக்கினி மானுடன் நான், சீமாட்டினி நானோ சீரிழந்த நாடோடி.
என்னை மணந்தால் நீ நாடாழ்வாய், நீ நாடாழ்வாய், நாடாழ்வாய்.